Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another Shadow of the Demon Lord talk. And this one is episode number 95. And I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while. Just haven't gotten around to it, and so I thought I would jump on it now. And this is miniatures for Shadow of the Demon Lord. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that there is a miniature line that's being developed for Shadow of the Demon Lord. That would be awesome. But rather, I'm looking at today's video. I'm going to be looking at miniatures that are being produced by other companies that can be used for your Shadow of the Demon Lord game. So some of the things I'm going to be covering are pretty obvious. Some of them are pretty obscure. But for those of us who enjoy using tabletop miniatures, finding the right miniature for the right creature, it can be a challenging task for games like Shadow of the Demon Lord, because this game has some pretty unique creatures. Trying to find a harvester, or trying to find a chainsaw demon, or trying to find an Oculus, or a muttering maw. These are creatures you're not going to find in other games, so therefore companies that produce miniatures are not going to be producing things that resemble these creatures, or could pass for them anyway. You might find some that can pass for them, but you're definitely not going to find a whole lot that matches. So I wanted to just kind of talk through some of the companies that I've run across in my, 40 years of tabletop gaming. And ever since I started playing D&D, I've really just enjoyed the tactile use of miniatures. So even my desktop right here, I've got is lined with miniatures. I've got miniatures all behind me in containers. All along that wall behind me, over here to the right, I've got miniatures surrounding me. I've collected thousands of miniatures over the course of my gaming career, and I love them, not only just for collecting purposes, but I just love having a visual representation of what's going on in the game actually on the tabletop. Now, sadly, I have been doing most of my gaming online these days, and so I use virtual miniatures or tokens for that, which is fine, but it just doesn't feel the same as actual physical miniatures on an actual tabletop, which is why to this day I still prefer face-to-face gaming. It's just a matter that is just not as convenient as face-to-face gaming, or as virtual gaming. So anyway, this is a great example of a miniature that I've had for years. This is this is from the Warhammer line, and it's a Demon of Slaanesh. And I don't know if you can see that even. Put that up here a little closer. Anyway, I love it, and I have tons of miniatures, all kinds of miniatures, and even for games like Shadow of the Demon Lord, where you're not going to find necessarily a harvester, you can find something, that can pass for a harvester, usually. So I wanted to just kind of make everybody aware of the different companies that I've run across, where you can find miniatures that can represent things in your game. Now, they may not represent, like I said, exactly, but you can get something that's a close approximation. And then even miniatures that aren't part of the game, you can create as monsters. So that's one thing I love about Shadow of the Demon Lord. I talked about this a few videos back, is the fact that the core rulebook has the monster template, which basically allows you to create anything, any kind of monster. And it is anything from a tiny monster to a huge monster, and then there's a supplement, the Monstrous Mian, of Monstrous Mian, I think is what it's called, that allows you to create even larger monsters, titanic monsters, from that. So with that, you can pretty much create anything. So if you want a monster that is made up of the remains of a shipwreck, like is pictured right here, I don't know how well you can see that, you can do that. If you want just a creature with multiple limbs that really doesn't resemble anything, like this monster right here, you can create that. And these things fit perfectly in Shadow of the Demon Lord. The whole thing that I really enjoy about Shadow of the Demon Lord is that you're not bound by the tropes of Dungeons and Dragons or other fantasy role-playing games. You are free to create just weird shit that fits thematically into the game. And of course you can do that with other games as well. It's just not as easy. You pretty much have to take an existing monster and reskin it, which, yeah, you can do that. It's not that difficult. It's just kind of a pain. Whereas, just using the monster templates in the core rulebook here, or even the demon templates if you want to create a demon, allows you to customize things pretty easily, pretty quickly. All right, so anyway, I wanted to yeah, there we go. I wanted to go ahead and go through some of these companies real quickly here. So I don't intend this to be a really long video. All right, so the first one I want to call out is Malfo Miniatures by Weird Games. Malfo is it's a tabletop skirmish game. I believe it's also a role-playing game, but they produce some beautiful miniatures that the sculpt quality is just fantastic, and they're weird because Malfo is a weird game. I've never played it. I don't know exactly what the deal is with Malfo, but I do know that their miniatures are just beautiful. So here's some sea creature miniatures. I don't know what that is. This is a DeviantArt page I'm showing you that has some Malfo stuff in it. Now let me back up here. Okay, so at any rate, the Malfo miniatures are just fantastic. I wanted to show you more. I thought this page had them, but apparently I'm mistaken. So that's okay, because what we can do is we can just go up to Mr. Google and type in Malfo, and we get ourselves a bunch of images of the various monsters that can be found out there for Malfo. So here's a succubus model, pretty cool. And let's see what else we have here. These guys are pretty creepy, especially for Halloween. You got a kid over here that ripped his own face off. Tell me that's not Demon Lord material. You got a couple of spirits. You've got a jack-o'-lantern. You've got a big, bulky undead thing with chains. You got a hot chick that is covered in blood and very little else. You got a demon baby over here. Another kid with his face ripped off. You got a little trick-or-treater girl that looks nice and creepy. There's another kid with his face ripped off. So these are very thematically, they fit right in with Shadow of the Demon Lord. So let me see what else I can find here. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah, Malifo is a very cool line. Problem is they are also a little bit on the pricey side. So be prepared to shell out some money. Now, not unreasonably so, but it's just a little on the higher end. So here's another set. This is called the Drowned. So you got some undead, covered in chains. This one's holding an anchor. So clearly these guys, were thrown overboard. What is this thing? Yeah, some big blob thing with teeth and limbs. Anyway, Malifo, great stuff, good company. I've got a couple of their miniatures. All right, so next up is a War Machine and Hordes miniatures from Privateer Press. So Privateer Press, they've been around for a little while, and they also have a tabletop game, a miniatures game, a couple of them, War Machine and Hordes. And then they also have the Iron Kingdoms role-playing game to accompany it, set in pretty much in the same world. So they produce a line of miniatures for these games. And the miniatures that they have are just really top-notch. Great sculpt quality, reasonably priced, and the type of miniatures that they produce are essentially the Hordes leans more towards fantasy, whereas the War Machine is more of a steampunkish feel to it. Which again fits right into Shadow the Demon Lord, as Shadow the Demon Lord definitely has steampunk qualities to it. So let's take a look at some of these models. So here's a bunch of War Machines, hence the name, that can be used, as Iron Titans, for example, from the Tales of the Demon Lord. Let's take a look at Mechanothralls. All right, so here's some undead that have some mechanical bits added to them. That's pretty cool. I could definitely throw that into my game. And Rocket Man. These are dudes that have rocket pads, so that's more sci-fi-ish. But let's take a look down here. All right, here's some guys that have your typical armor, some axes, and they're also carrying some pistols. So anyway, for that steampunk feel, and let's see, these guys could be Church of the New God warriors. So anyway, they've got great models with that steampunk feel. They also have just scenery type models that can be used. This would be a great gate. It's called the Infernal Gate, so there you go. And you can purchase these sets. This set here has what for 12 models for $55. So again, a little bit pricey, but still these are great. These are great models, great quality models. So you would definitely be these could be some cultists here. You would definitely be happy with your purchase. All right, so anyway, that is War Machine. Let's take a real quick look at the Hordes. Hordes tend to be more monster oriented. So here is it's called a Glacier King, which could be like an ice troll or something like that. Blightbringer, this could be a demon or just a generic monster. Pretty horrific. Dracodile, So this could be like a dragon crocodile mix. There's a Hydra, chosen of Everblight. These things are Taurus creatures, it looks like. Minotaur-ish type creatures that are armored. That's pretty cool. Centaurs type creatures, I mean, not Minotaurish. All right, so let's see what else this line has. We've got Gatormen. If you want to create a new ancestry, you've got Croak Raiders, which are frogmen. What's this? This definitely looks like a demon. Tentacles, that meets the demon prerequisite, right? Claws, carapace. Yeah, this is definitely demon material. All right, so anyway, Malfo, or sorry, not Malfo, War Machine and Hordes miniatures. Great stuff. And incidentally, I'm going to put the links to all of these companies in my show notes so that you can check them out yourself. I know, looking at these over my my video feed is probably not the best way to show them off, but here's some more terrain that you can get. I mean, this is a beautiful waterfall thing, like a monolith with water flowing off of it. It's just really beautiful. Okay, so that is War Machine and Hordes from Privateer Press. All right, next up is Warhammer. Now this is an obvious one. Games Workshop has been doing models forever. And they're pretty pricey. You're going to be paying a pretty penny for whatever Warhammer models you pick up. But wow, are they good? The Warhammer models are just, top notch. You're not going to find better quality models, better sculpts, probably, than the Warhammer. So this is the Age of Sigmar line, which is their fantasy line. And so you have like this guy right here is a giant rat creature with a rat dude sitting on top of him. Then you've got these guys, a whole army of undead night gaunts, which are just, you can't really see them very well because there are, so many of them right here, but just amazing undead. I love this demon. The Great Unclean One, a demon of Nurgle. And, just look at that. Look at that quality. Look at the skin boils, the entrails, the chains, the detail on the sword. Just great quality stuff. Of course, like I said, you're going to be paying some serious cash for it. This model here is $150. So yeah, very pricey. But if you've got the cash to spend and you really want to adorn your tabletop with a beautiful model, this would be a fantastic demon to throw at your master tier adventures. All right, so Warhammer is kind of the obvious go-to because of the similarities between Shadow the Demon Lord and Warhammer. That has been mentioned even by Rob Schwab himself, who is an avid Warhammer fan. So here's some more models that could be demons. Daughters of Cain. So anyway, great stuff. So that is Games Workshop Warhammer. All right, the next one is a little bit more obscure. This one is Rackham Miniatures. And I ran across this company long ago, and they have very pretty models. Good sculpts. Some of these can be used as NPC opponents. Look at that. That's great. Look at the detail. That could be an Anubis. So if you have the Tombs of the Desolation, the Anubis Beastman, that's what I would use this for. Good stuff. Okay, so that was let's take a look at their dwarfs. Look at that. I love it. Look at all that crap this dwarf is carrying. Look at that hammer. Love dwarves. This dwarf is riding a war boar. That's I love it. That's great. Let me see. Some more riders down there. Let's take a look at these guys. Fantastic. All right, so Rackham Miniatures. Let's see if we can take a look at some other stuff here. Let's take a look at resin pieces. Here's an aberration, a monster. Looks like it's got some metal bits added to it. Kind of has a Resident Evil feel to it. Let's see what else we have here. This is kind of a horned thing. I could use that. I swear to God, if I ever win the lottery, I'm just buying every miniature ever, and spending the rest of my days just you know, painting miniatures. I'm not sure what this thing is. Anyway, Rackham has some pretty unique takes on the normal stuff, and they also have some unique models just in general. What is this? Crane Warrior. No idea what that is, but it's got horns. So this looks like an undead beastman. That's what I would use that for. There's just something with wings. This also looks like something that would come out of the Tombs of the Desolation. What else do we have here? Here's a throne. I love models that have thrones, something sitting on a throne. And just look at this, beautiful. It's got this sculpture on top of the throne. You got an undead guy that's leaning forward, sitting on his throne. Steps leading up to the throne. You got a couple of undead guys down here at the base. And then if you turn the model around, you've got all of these lost soul type of things sculpted into the back. I love it. This is unbelievable quality here. Here's a specter. That's great. Look at the detail on that. Fantastic. All right, so that is Rackham Miniatures. The next one is Cthulhu Wars from Peterson Games. And Cthulhu Wars is, again, I don't know if it's classified as a board game or a tabletop game, but it's a game that has a whole line of miniatures that are Cthulhu. You know, obviously, they are inspired by the Cthulhu mythos. And so you've got a beastman, a black goat acolyte here. You got a beastman. You've got a demon type thing, another demon type thing, Hound of Tenedos. You got a cultist here. You know, you can't have too many cultist models. I don't have enough cultist models, in fact. Here's another thing, a demon sitting on some books. Here's a one-eyed tentacle thing, Cacodemon, Dire Cthulhu, of course. Can't have a Cthulhu game without a bunch of Cthulhu type models. So anyway, I know you can't see these very well on my video feed, but night gaunts, winged creatures. Anyway, so yeah, it's not a super big line of miniatures, but they do have some good monsters and NPCs that can be used as demons and cultists. So it's worth taking a look at. I'll tell you what, though, if you buy the Cthulhu Wars box set, $200, but it comes with a shit ton of miniatures. Let me see if it says it in the description here. It sadly does not, but I've looked at it. This box is huge. If you find it at a hobby store, this box is huge and it's got just a ton of miniatures in it. So Cthulhu Wars from Peterson Games. Another obvious choice would be the Reaper models. Reaper has been around for at least a couple of decades, and they have just a huge line of miniatures. Mostly stuff that you would get for your typical fantasy game, but they do go out on a limb for some of their models. And let me see if I can just highlight some of the models that they have here. So lots of character models, lots of PC models, and if you can't find something for your Shadow the Demon Lord character in the Reaper line, then you're probably not going to find it anywhere. Tons and tons of character models. Also a ton of monster models. They do have a miniature finder even built into their website. So if you're looking for a specific type of miniatures, you can type in some keywords and it'll narrow down the list of models that it'll show you to better match what you're looking for. So the other day I was looking for a plague doctor type monster, and I came here and I was able to locate, this guy or gal, Sister Hazel. In fact, I wanted to order her, but I didn't. I need to do that. Okay, so anyway, I'm trying to see if I can find some of the monster models. There's some ogres, some spiders. They've got some great demon models. Let's go into Bones Plastic. That's probably where they got dinosaurs. They actually have some scenery. Here's a ruined doorway. Here's an arcane circle, ruined temple. They've got some clear plastic for ghosts or invisible characters. Dire crab. Let's see, a bunch of undead, dragon folk. They got this astrolabe, pretty cool. Scenery. Let's jump ahead. All right, here's an invisible dragon. Here's a shipwreck I was showing earlier. This model is fantastic. It's just basically the remains of a shipwreck that have been animated. And is now, well, this is called a shipwreck revenant. It could be a construct or it could be an undead thing, but fantastic model, very unique. I could definitely throw this. I would throw this most definitely into a Freeport campaign, or if I ever get around to doing the Queen of Gold adventure path, that sucker's definitely going in there. Let's see what else we have here. Here's a Cthulhu-esque monster. Tentacles. Large air elemental made of clear plastic or resin or whatever. I think it's plastic, actually. Golem. Dragon plant. other plant-like creatures. Just like I said, this is an enormous line of miniatures. Just a ton of monsters. Some of the miniatures are silly. You can see these are really silly, cartoonish type miniatures. But you know, the vast bulk of this miniatures line is just useful fantasy, characters and monsters. I've got a bunch of Reaper line miniatures. In fact, let me highlight a couple of them here. So this is, I forget what they call it, but this is essentially a stand-in for the Tarrasque. This thing is huge. And if I ever get around to having a Tarrasque in my game, or something similar in Shadow of the Demon Lord, then I would pull that model out and scare the shit out of my players. So here's another one. This is also from the Reaper line, and this is a stand-in for Tiamat. Also huge, if not bigger than the Tarrasque over there. This thing is enormous and fairly inexpensive. And that's the thing about Reaper. They are cheap compared to other miniature companies. Reaper is cheap, especially their Bones line of miniatures. You're not going to find a better deal on big models for a great price. All right, let me see what else I've got up here that may be Reaper I want to show off. Yeah, I guess that's about it. But, you know, I've got a ton of Reaper miniatures. You know, besides the D&D miniatures, that's probably the what I have the most of. So I can't say enough good things about the Reaper. Some of their Bones plastic isn't as high a quality as the miniature, or as the metal miniatures, or the I think it's called Bones Dark or Bones Black plastic. They tend to be a little bit higher resolution. So you can see even this guy, lots of great detail. Check this out. Tell me this doesn't fit in a Demon Lord game. You know, a big, you know, undead tree with people hanging from it. You know, this is great. It's only 25 bucks. I mean, hell, I'm going to put that on my wish list. It's great stuff. So check out their website. They've just got an amazing line of miniatures that'll fit the bulk of your needs, whatever your RPG tastes are. Okay, so that's Reaper. This next line, I don't know if it's still active or if it's discontinued. Their website's still functioning, but it's an international website, so I'm not exactly sure what country this company operates out of, but it's definitely not a U.S.-based company. But it's the line of miniatures is Dorado by Black Market Miniatures, and the Dorado line is so Demon Lord. The miniatures that you'll find here are just terrible, horrifying type miniatures. Great quality, but horrifying type of miniatures. So here's let me see if I can zoom in on one of these. Okay, here's a gluttony demon. So basically it's just a big fat dude with an enormous tongue sticking out of it, right? Here is here's a creature that has weapons just basically grafted to it. You know, again, this could be a demon that just happens to have a sword arm and a whatever the fuck that is, a glaive arm or multi-bladed arm. I don't know really what the hell that is, but you know, that's so Demon Lord. Okay, this is actually what sold me on the line. This is called a Demon Jinx. Basically, it's a demon baby. I actually bought this one. I have it right here, and it is a tiny miniature. I don't know if you can even see that. But it's a tiny baby with big head, and it's got, you know, big bulbous eyes. It's reaching out, and if you turn the miniature around, you can see its little baby ass, and it's got, you know, either, I don't know if it's an umbilical cord or if it's got entrails coming out, but it's just probably an umbilical cord, I'm guessing, since it's a baby. But you know, it's just you know, haunting and grotesque. And I'm surprised this hasn't made its way into my Demon Lord game as of yet, but it will eventually. I guarantee it. If I ever do another face-to-face Demon Lord game, I should say. All right, so anyway, yeah, there it is. Love that model. And then you've got this thing, Demon of Flesh, which is basically a demon that, you know, again, this is straight out of Shadow of the Demon Lord. This demon is just a mess of limbs. It's like it just pulled a bunch of limbs and teeth and mouths and eyes and stuck them together into this, you know, this monster. And that is so Shadow of the Demon Lord. I can't get over it. Let me see what else we can find here. There's some nice gems. Unfortunately, the miniatures line is not that extensive, but what they do have is just great stuff. And come on. Also, you know, interesting player character models if you want to do something a little bit more exotic. Let's see what we got. Like this guy. Yeah, it looks like he could be a New God Inquisitor. Good stuff. All right, so anyway, that's Hell Dorado by Black Market Miniatures. Here's a website. I have, you know, no idea if these guys are still functioning. I assume they do because it looks like the website is still functional. Their models are a bit on the pricey side, as you can see. But, you know, you're going to find some pretty unique stuff here. All right, so we're getting to the end of my list. This next one is definitely a discontinued line of miniatures. But they have some really off-the-wall, bizarre, freaky miniatures that you're not going to find in any other miniature line. And this is the Dreamblade Miniatures that was produced by Wizards of the Coast back in the early 2000s for a skirmish game of the same name, Dreamblade. They're plastic miniatures, but they're just really unique. And you know, these are just some weird. If your game leans towards the really bizarre, then these models are for you. Here you got a murderous widow. You know, you've got this blob thing with a face in it. You got this worm creature, tentacle creature. See what else. You got that demon-looking thing or monstrous-looking thing. Here's a dude that's got a hammer for his head, grafted onto his head, or grafted in place of his head, I should say. See if I can get to some of the more exotic, weird stuff. You know, here's a walking statue with a demon on his shoulder. Here's, you know, big gluttonous guy. Here's a raven dude. Don't even know what that is. But since this is a out of print line of miniatures, then you're going to have to go to eBay essentially, or some other similar marketplace in order to find it. Okay, look at this big face on two mechanical legs. That is a machine god construct there. Here's a pyramid of limbs with a big eyeball in the center of it. And jump ahead here, see what else we can find. Some other noteworthy creatures. Looks like a demon or a devil. So the thing about Dreamblade, I never played the skirmish game, but they were definitely going for something different with this game. Okay, this definitely looks like something out of Hellraiser. Two-headed snail. Okay, so anyway, that's Dreamblade. Go to eBay, check them out, check out the various models. Fairly reasonably priced, except for maybe some of the rarer models. These are typically models that are that you'll find for less than $10, and they are decent size too. I would say that most of them are probably, see if I can find one of mine. They are probably large size if you're using the scale of that D&D uses. Anyway, I can't seem to find one of my Dreamblade models. I only picked up a couple of boosters of this game back when it was out because it was just so weird back then, and this was pre Demon Lord. Look at this thing. Oh man, I could use that. That is begging to be in my Demon Lord game. All right, so anyway, Dreamblade. Look them up on eBay. Interesting, bizarre stuff. And then finally, the obvious D&D and Pathfinder miniatures from Whiz Kids. Wizards of the Coast also had a line of pre-painted plastic miniatures that are out of print now. You'll probably have to go to eBay. You may be able to find some on Amazon or some of the other marketplaces out there. But today, if you're wanting a current line of miniatures, you have to go to the Whiz Kids models, which are, unfortunately, a little bit on the pricey side. If you go the booster packs, if you buy big bricks, then it's probably the best bang for your buck, especially if you get an entire case and get the entire line of models. That's going to set you back probably $400 or $500, but you're going to end up with over 100 models there. Don't know if it's worth it to you, but if you're a collector, then that's probably the best way to go about it. But anyway, you can see all the different lines that they have for Dungeons and Dragons, and they just cover the gambit of D&D miniatures. So if you're looking for bulk miniatures for your game of just standard stuff, zombies, skeletons, goblins, ogres, orcs, stuff like that, you can't go wrong with the Whiz Kids line of miniatures. And also character miniatures is probably what you would want to come to here. Now the monster miniatures are typically your D&D monsters. So a lot of D&D monsters can definitely be used in Shadow the Demon Lord, but you're not going to find a whole lot that branches away from your typical D&D monsters. You will find in some of these sets, some gems that are, off the beaten track. But for the most part, these sets are themed to match, the game that they're pimping, or the adventures they're pimping, like Tombs of Annihilation or Curse of Strahd or whatever. Useful to a degree, especially if you also play D&D like I do. then collecting those is just, a good way to boost up your collection for Dungeons and Dragons. But specifically for Shadow of the Demon Lord, I wouldn't say that the Whiz Kids line is the best, other than for character miniatures. Okay, so that is basically it. There's probably other miniature lines out there that I'm not familiar with, or that I may have forgotten about, or that may not be active. But the last thing I will say is that if you have a 3D printer and you are into 3D printing, there are a ton of super unique, super detailed models that you can 3D print. And you can do so by going to a number of different 3D printing companies. Let's see, 3D print D&D minis. Let's just see what comes up. My Mini Factory is a big one. So if you go to My Mini Factory, they just have an amazing selection of files that you can purchase and print up on your 3D printer. Really good stuff, high quality, super detailed. And I have a 3D printer. Unfortunately I bought kind of a lower end model, a cheap one, and it errors more than it actually produces a good print. So mine's not the best quality printer. But if you have sunk some money into your 3D printer, and it pumps out some good models or some good 3D prints, then you're going to find some fantastic stuff at My Mini Factory and other similar sites. I mean, the detail on this stuff is just amazing. Look at that. That sculpture is just incredible. And, a quality 3D printer is going to bring that out. So, I definitely recommend that. And the last thing I would like to mention before I wrap this video up is the Hero Forge. So, the Hero Forge is it's a company that does 3D printing, but you actually get to design your model. And their website essentially steps you through how to design your model. So this is mostly useful for character models. You can design some monsters, but it's really mostly a way to create customized character miniatures. So you can pick the species. First of all, you got human, elf, half-elf, dwarf, elemental, bugbear, gnome, troll, half-orc, halfling, half-demon, half-dragon, anthro-canine, anthro-feline. So those would be your cat people. Rat folk, minotaur, turtle person, crocodile person, lizard person, raven person, a fawn. Okay, so fawns are notoriously difficult for finding character miniatures. And a fawn is in the Demon Lord's Companion as an ancestry. So if you want to play a fawn, I would highly recommend going to the Hero Forge and customizing your own fawn miniature. Let's see here. Forest Guard, Elfin Folk, Fairy Tale Goblin, Feral Goblin. So again, for your Goblin PC, you can create your own here. Zombies, skeletons, Goblinoid, Hobgoblin, Robot. So your Clockwork, you can customize a Clockwork here. Although you're not going to be able to make the exotic Clockworks. You're not going to be able to make a spider Clockwork here, for example. But a humanoid Clockwork you could definitely create. Clockworks are another type of miniature that is difficult to find. Other than the War Machine the War Machine line of models is the first one that comes to mind. I have several clockworks or models that I use as clockworks that come from the Convergence of Cirrus faction of the War Machine line of models. But clockwork type miniatures are really, really hard to find. So, again, if you want to customize a clockwork humanoid, you can do so here at the Hero Forge. Half Giant, Aquatic, Merfolk, or as we call them in Shadow of the Demon Lord, Undyne. An Orc, you can customize your Orc. Kobolds, Nagas. Okay, so Nagas are a thing in Demon Lord, so you can customize your own. So here is a Cambion. Here's some anthropomorphic animal people. So here's an insect. So this is probably for the D&D crowd that want to play a three Krian, or however you pronounce it, for your Dark Sun game. But there is an insect ancestry in the Shadow of the Demon Lord, the Demon Lord's Companion 2, that you could create your ancestry here, your model here. The one thing that I'm sad is that there's no place to make a mole person. Mole person is also from the Demon Lord's Companion 2, and there's no mole person models. There's a rabbit person, but you're not going to find a mole person anywhere, which makes me sad because the mole people need love too. So sadly, those miniatures going to be hard to come by. Next to impossible to find, actually. All right, so anyway, you choose your species, as they call it here. You customize the head, you customize the body, you customize the clothing, and then they customize the gear. You can also customize the pose, so you can move the arms around, you can just pose them differently, and then you can color them. So you can actually, create a colored miniature and then have it sent to you. You can either purchase the file so that you can 3D print it yourself, or you can have them print it for you and mail it to you. This is a great idea. If they would only do monsters now, then my life would be complete. But sadly, they don't do monsters yet. So once they do, then I'm all over it. But this is a great place for players to get the model that they want to represent their characters. All right, so that is it for miniatures for Shadow of the Demon Lord. Now, I apologize if you expected me to go in and say this is what you can use for a harvester. This is what you can use for a muttering maw. It doesn't work that way. You just have to look through all of the miniatures that are out there and find something that is a close approximation. Because again, there's no miniatures line specific to Shadow of the Demon Lord, which makes me sad. But just sadly, this is a niche of a niche. Shadow of the Demon Lord is not as widely propagated as your other fantasy games. So, until that becomes a thing, which is up to you guys, I'm doing my part. Now, you guys need to go out and spread the word. It would be nice to have a line of miniatures. Maybe when White Wizard is finally put out there, if the Kickstarter really goes gangbusters, maybe Schwab can add a line of miniatures to some of the goals for that Kickstarter. That'd be great. So anyway, all right, so that's it, guys. I am done with this video. I hope this was helpful for those of you that like miniatures and miniatures games, or miniatures to represent monsters and players in your Shadow of the Demon Lord game. Hopefully I gave you some ideas, or at least some resources to go check them out. And you know, just populate the entire surface of your gaming table with nasty creatures to throw at your Demon Lord characters. So with that, I'm going to wrap things up. I appreciate you watching, and hail to the Demon Lord. All right, how do I stop this damn thing?